Hello and welcome to CoreTV News on the Hour. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the defense authorities to design a plan for local production of weapons for the armed forces in order to reduce the total reliance on imported arms. He described the present situation as unacceptable and added that Nigeria can no longer depend solely on other countries for major military equipment and logistics. The president, who spoke at the graduation ceremony of the National Defense College in Abuja, said local production of arms would be complemented only by very advanced foreign technologies.
And insurgency. We must show result-oriented leadership at all levels of military command. We must set up an optimal organization to manage and sustain operational performance. And we must show confidence and winning mentality. Let me reiterate here that the federal government, under my leadership, shall continue to provide the necessary support needed to meet operational, logistic training, and welfare requirements of the armed forces of Nigeria. In the immediate term, we shall do all within our powers to stabilize the situation and restore hope and normalcy.
It is gratifying to state that the college has made profound contributions to national security and development in this manner. As a member of the National Technical Monitoring and Evaluation Committee, the college participated in evaluating the implementation of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, amongst other accomplishments. The most active and perhaps sustained relationship was with the Office of National Security Advisor, ONSA for short. We collaborated with ONSA to co-host the conference that developed the existing national structures for strategic communications. Also, we partnered with ONSA to develop the strategic and operational templates for civil military relations in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari says the time has come for Nigerians to do more than pay mere lip service to agriculture, as crude oil and gas exports will no longer be sufficient as the country's major revenue earner. President Buhari made the declaration at an audience with Dr. Kanayo Waze, the Nigerian-born president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, at the presidential villa. The president pledged that his administration would also cut short the long bureaucratic processes that Nigerian farmers had to go through to get any form of assistance from government. He told the IFAD president that improvement of the productivity of farmers, dry season farming, and creative ways to combat the shrinking of the lake chart will also receive the attention of his administration. Dr. Nwaze congratulated President Buhari on his victory at the general elections and assured him that IFAD was ready to give all possible assistance to the federal government and Nigerian farmers to boost agriculture production in the country. The Presidential Amnesty Office has commenced the payment of outstanding stipends and allowances of ex-militants and beneficiaries of the amnesty program. Spokesman for the Amnesty Office, Daniel Alabra, who confirmed the development, said the payment follows President Muhammadu Buhari approval. He pointed out in a statement that the payment of 65,000 naira per beneficiary is for the month of May, while those for June and July will be paid as soon as the Committee on Verification of Claims concludes the exercise. The current coordinator and special advisor to the president on Niger Delta, Paul Boro, had an assuming office set up a 7-man committee to verify claims by the ex-militants. The army authorities have paraded 2 suspected cyber fraudsters who claimed to be military recruiters online. The suspects, who were picked in Ekwoma, Edo State, are Felix Stone Ogaga and Augustine Osakwolo. Army spokesman Colonel Sonny Usman disclosed that before the arrest, the suspects had made 43,000 naira 500 by selling fake forms through the internet.
The 2 suspects opened a Facebook account in the name of a senior military officer. And the picture of the senior officer that was used was the one that he was addressing troops. It's a profile picture for the Facebook account. And let me digress a little. That is why the Nigerian Army has come out with a social media policy in which officers and soldiers are not supposed to use any of their photograph in military uniform as a profile photograph. Or in fact, they should not allow it on their Facebook account.
I don't want to feel myself. And I'm very focused
Who gave you the idea to do this?
So how do you feel now? Are you happy?
The National Orientation Agency and the National University Commission are working on introducing patriotism studies as a degree program in Nigerian universities. Already, extensive talks are underway between the management of the two government agencies. NOA Director General Michael Mary gave this indication shortly after a visit to the NUC headquarters in Abuja. He added that the course may also be available as a certificate course. Omeri was quoted in a statement issued by the agency as saying that the NOA is also taking its value reorientation campaign "Do the Right Thing" to secondary and primary schools. NUC Executive Secretary Professor Julius Okotie, who was elated by the proposal, lamented the degradation of the nation's education system, which he traced to the introduction of day schooling in secondary schools by the military to the detriment of compulsory boarding system. Professor Okotie also directed the immediate appointment of a desk officer at the commission to liaise with NOA regularly towards actualizing the agency's proposal. We'll take a break now, and I'll be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, child looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face.
They don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I say to hell
On
with it.
Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion,
Everybody has a right in Nigeria.
where you are the judge. Welcome back. You can get all of the top stories on any of our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle is at CoreTV News NG. You can also reach us via YouTube. It's youtube.com/CoreTV, space and news. Governorship aspirants in Kogi State on Friday turned up at the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress to pick nomination forms. The election is slated for November 21, but no fewer than 20 aspirants have already shown interest in running on APC's platform. Two of them, Idris Hussein Kashim and Sanusi Abubakar, are convinced that they can introduce positive change in the state, in line with what is at the national level. But lamented that since the creation of Kogi State in August 1991, it has remained stagnant in terms of development due to poor leadership qualities of all the past administrators. In Edo State, as the ideological warfare between the Edo State PDP-led government and the All Progressives Congress got nearly to fiscal off, drama ensued as Femi Bamishile, an APC stalwart, accused the state governor, Ayodele Fayose, of shutting down a petrol station which he had earlier scheduled to distribute free PMS for Okada riders in Edo State. The aftermath of the refusal saw major streets of Edo State experiencing a mild protest from the Okada riders led by Femi Bamishile, as the state government denies the allegation. Rashid has more.
Politics, you may be right, and you may not be far from the truth if you prefer social gesture. The move by a former Ekiti House Speaker and an APC chieftain, Femi Bamishile, to distribute petrol to commercial motorcyclists appear to have hit the rock. The pump station where the free distribution was to take place was locked down. Reacting to this development, Femi Bamishile, who appeared unhappy with the situation, accused the state governor, Ayodele Fayose, of shutting down the station.
The kind of brutish way of leadership that we have in the state, it is from the state government that has been instructed. A text message was sent on my phone instructing that this gas station be shut down.
The inability of the motorcyclists to get fuel at the petrol station situated at Ijibu spawned a mild protest from the riders cutting across major streets of Ado Ekiti as they go in search of fuel stations willing to queue into the plan of Bamishile. On her part, the state government denies shutting the pump station for any reason.
Our government, when we are having in Ekiti today, they are not doing anything for us. They are deceiving us.
Ekiti state government has not closed down any filling petrol station in Ekiti state today. Ekiti state government did not do that. If anybody is saying that, that person is saying that, he's saying it to cover up his own inadequacies.
While this milieu lasted, Femi Bamishile vows to continue with the exercise.
We will still take these good people to another petrol station to make sure they get fuel today. And this process that has started today, the 6th of, I think the 6th or 7th of August, would continue up until God knows when.
With the commercial motorcyclists finally getting the free distribution of PMS, the political terrain in Ekiti State may continue to get more dramatic in the coming days. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
And now to Kaduna, where emergency workers have confirmed the death of at least 2 persons in a flooding incident that ravaged communities in Kachia local government. The State Emergency Management Agency also disclosed that several homes and farmlands were affected. Our correspondent Amina Nebi has details.
Aftermath of recent heavy rainfall in some parts of Kaduna State, several communities were affected and at least 2 persons have been confirmed dead by emergency workers.
I will just want to use this medium too to call on the citizen. A lot of people went and blocked the waterways, built along the banks side, the river banks, and other things. The blockage of the drainages and whatever are some of the causes of all these floods. And we want to call on the entire people of Kaduna State to be very mindful on how they go by putting structures. And that will go a long way to reduce that to the barest minimum. And that is my passionate appeal to the citizens of Kaduna State.
Affected residents of the area are looking forward to government coming to the raid. They are also looking forward to a lasting solution to a problem they say had been with them for several years.
Today, being weekend, Friday now, we cannot even get access to go into our office. And we have a lot of new cadets which we want to talk to them, orientate them before sending them to the national headquarters for training, 4 weeks training. And there's no way we can get into the office, which it has set us back.
But we have an office there, we cannot enter our office. See us outside because of the water since Wednesday now. And our call to the government is for them to come and help us in this area so that water will not pack, especially those people that they are living there.
Sincerely, my appeal to the government for now, this thing is terrible because when you look at the houses over there, most of them now, they are like semi-refugees anywhere they are. And we believe in his capacity, the way he's going about his government in Kaduna State. People are happy with him, and we think His Excellency Governor El-Rufai has the capacity to bring change.
In fact, we are sleeping with one eye open and one eye closed. The water is threatening, as you can see. People cannot go out. We can't go out. We can't come in. It's indoor things. And then we pray that it will not be worse, because I remember vividly we were there before yesterday. We were under this tree. Yesterday we are on top of the fence. Now we cannot even approach the fence. That means it's coming out.
The 2 major local governments affected by the incident are Kaduna South and Kaduna North, and there are already suggestions that the authorities reactivate local emergency management committees for quicker response to emergency situations.
In Nasarawa State, Governor Tanko Amakura has described a recent flooding incident in some parts as a fallout of improper conduct by some members of the public. He noted that the drainage channels have been turned into refuse dump in the affected area, but pledged to do something about it. Amakura spoke to State House correspondents after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja.
I want to limit myself on the issue of Maraba, particularly where the flood this year appears to have gone a little more than what happened last year, with particular reference to certain areas. I'm talking about Kabai. The people in Kabai Lane are really complaining about the flood and how water has caused so much disruption in their activities. But that is understandable because when there was a request that the road was impassable, was unmotorable because of the neglect of the past, I took upon myself to award contract to ensure that people living at that axis benefit from good roads. I've given a contract of over 800 million to have a road that will connect them with the main artery so that they can it will reduce the problem of traffic. But unfortunately, while the work was going on, the rains have arrived. And there was nothing we could do. It's force majeure. We can't stop the rains from coming because we have projects. So the people have to be a little more patient until the rains subside, and they will have a brand new road that they will be proud to use.
Water everywhere, but do babies in Nigeria have enough to drink? Now, the federal government wants employers of labor in the country to allow working mothers flexible hours to enable them breastfeed their children. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Linus Awute, represented by Director in the Ministry, Chiwe Thompson, made the call at an occasion marking the end of 2015 World Breastfeeding Week commemoration in Abuja. Basil Okafo has details in this report.
These nursing mothers are here as part of activities marking the end of this year's World Breastfeeding Week. They are being sensitized on the benefits of exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of their children's life. Drama presentation was used to educate participants on the negative impact of using alternatives to breastfeeding. The organizers say children who are given exclusive breastfeeding live a healthy life.
Mother, if you want to use infant formula, there are a lot of disadvantages. The mother, it will take her enough money because a baby, if you want to give the child only, if you don't want to breastfeed, it will take you up to 20 cans of milk for a month. And then for the first 6 months, if you don't want to breastfeed, it will take a mother to give 160 cans. And in one of the comments, they told us that infant milk formula now is costing 2,500. And when you calculate it, it's 400,000 naira. Imagine spending that only for a baby. What of other resources that are needed to settle in the family?
It improves their nutrition. It improves the children's ability to fight infections, which is very, very important. And it makes the children to be healthy, to be well, to grow well, and to have a very good start in life.
So for these nursing mothers, it is an opportunity to share experiences on exclusive breastfeeding.
The reason why I'm doing this exclusive breastfeeding, when I was pregnant for my first child, I was taught to do exclusive breastfeeding, and I followed the method that I was asked to do. And when I did it, I will tell you that I'm very, very happy because even for once, I've not taken my baby to hospital that is sick, except his immunization, and he's 4 years old now.
Some are ignorant because most of the time you hear them say, I'm feeding my baby with breast milk, but he must drink water because I too drink water. But we know that breast milk is more than 80% water. So if you are giving breast milk, there is no need for extra water.
A mother living with HIV and AIDS, Luciania, also has a piece of advice for other nursing women. She says her HIV status has not stopped her from breastfeeding her children, even after testing positive over 12 years ago.
People are not aware of their status, and then knowing your status during pregnancy becomes a very big challenge. So for us, we're encouraging every woman to know their HIV status even before becoming pregnant. In my first pregnancy, it wasn't easy for me to cope with it because of lack of awareness. I was not well informed. So I went through trauma or waiting for 18 months to know my child's status. But now the system has improved. Once you give birth to your child, within 7 days, within 2 weeks, you can be able to know your child's affect HIV status, if it's negative or positive. And for us, those that cannot afford the BMS, which is breast milk substitutes, we advise those HIV positive women to be on their drugs, which is antiretroviral drugs. If a woman that is positive is taking her drugs and the child is also taking he or her drug at that particular time, the child stand the chances of having we stand the chance of having HIV negative children. But when a situation where the CD4 count is very low, viral load is very low, the chance of infecting the child is very high.
World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated every year from August 1 to 7.
Outside Nigeria now, the United Nations has adopted a resolution aimed at identifying those behind chemical weapons attacks in Syria. Report says UN Chief Ban Ki-moon and the head of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons will be asked to prepare a plan for an inquiry. The vote came after the US and Russia agreed on the final text of the resolution. A mission to eliminate Syria's chemical arsenal was set up after a deadly attack outside Damascus in August 2013. After Friday's vote, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, said it was a clear message that the perpetrators would not go unpunished. The resolution follows months of negotiations between the U.S., which has long accused the Assad regime of using chemical weapons, and Russia, which has defended its Syrian ally. The UN Refugee Agency says around 50,000 people arrived in Greece in July alone. Greece leaders said the country was unable to cope and called for EU's help. Separately, Italian police arrested 5 suspected traffickers over the deaths of about 200 people after a migrant boat sank on Wednesday. They included 2 Libyans, 2 Algerians, and a Tunisian, held on suspicion of multiple murder and people trafficking. Survivors have said that traffickers used knives to slash the heads of African migrants and belts to thrash Arabs to keep them in the hall. Sad story, isn't it? Well, that wraps it on the news this hour. Do join us again at the top of the hour for more. I'm Femi.